Hello, and thank you for watching Focus, a show that focuses on community, unity, and service. I'm Chris Giard. World Alzheimer's Month is the international campaign held every September to raise awareness and challenge the stigma that surrounds dementia. My next guest is Robin Sharp, Executive Director for Connecticut Alzheimer's Association. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
So let's start off by asking how many live in Connecticut with Alzheimer's?
So there are 80,000 people living with Alzheimer's disease right here in Connecticut. And if you think about that, that's the size of a small city. So we have a city's worth of people with dementia right here in our state. And caring for those people are 178,000 unpaid caregivers. So those are family, friends, who are taking care of people living with dementia. And so the stress both on them and on the people that have the disease is something that the Alzheimer's Association is really dedicated to helping with and supporting.
Great. What services do you offer as an association?
Sure. So we have a 24-hour helpline that people can call any hour of the day or night if they have any questions at all about Alzheimer's disease or any other type of dementia, because the Alzheimer's Association does serve people with many different forms of dementia. So anything like Lewy body or vascular dementia, we are also here to help you. So whether this is a question from a person who was just diagnosed with the disease, a person who is concerned about their cognition or their memory and wants to talk about it a little bit, someone who's a caregiver, a family caregiver, or even a professional caregiver. We have master's level clinicians who are answering that helpline, and then we will follow up with you right here in Connecticut. So that's a great service that we provide. We also are providing support groups, just like we used to do before COVID hit and we all went remote. So we're providing support groups. They are virtual, so people can participate in those from anywhere that they are. They can even dial in on their phone if they choose to. We are still providing our social activities for people in the early stages of dementia, and we're doing those virtually too. So we're doing things like virtual museum tours and discussions, or a virtual choir sing-along that people can dial into and sing along with their family and friends. And the nice part about this is that your family can be anywhere in the country and join you for that event. So it's really kind of neat.
It's great that I know throughout this pandemic, a lot of nonprofits, as everybody else, has had to kind of pivot the way that we normally do things. And the fact that you've embraced that technology to offer the services throughout COVID-19, it's really great. So obviously something else has affected the way we do our business and fundraising. That's got to be a little bit different for you guys too. Why don't you talk about how you're fundraising through this pandemic?
We are continuing to fundraise. So, in the very beginning of the pandemic, we had a lot of events planned for the spring. And because of the pandemic, we had to cancel all of those events. But our walk to End Alzheimer's happens in the fall. And so we were able to plan for our walks to still continue. So they're not continuing in the same way, obviously, because we cannot gather in large groups. But what we're asking people to do is to join us, to register their team, and to walk in their own neighborhoods. So if you can visualize your whole community walking at the same time, but very safely, very distanced, and right in your own neighborhood, and you can do a route of your choice, you can do a route of your length, and you can also choose a date. So you can register for a walk, and our walks are happening over 3 weekends, September 24th, and 2 weekends in October. So we also have October 4th and October 11th that we'll be walking. So our motto this year is there's 3 dates. There's, one mission, and it's for all. So we're all in this together to find an end and a cure and a treatment for this disease.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I put some information up on the screen for people to see the dates and locations, even though it's virtual. And I know, speaking of technology, that there's an app people can download too to help participate in the walk as well.
Yes, people can download an app, and the app, as you're walking, can also track your steps and take you through a little virtual walk path if you want to do that. You also can use your computer and dial in and watch a pep rally that we'll be having on October 27th. We'll be able to answer more questions. Look on our Facebook page, look on our website. There are so many resources, both for walk and just about Alzheimer's and dementia in general. So our website is a great place, alz.org/CT, that you can find, all kinds of information and register on that. You can also use your computer and you'll be able to watch an opening ceremony, just like we always do with our walks, where there will be, people holding the flowers that you can see behind me. And all of those different colors represent somebody different for Alzheimer's. So purple is for somebody who might have lost someone to Alzheimer's disease. Orange is for somebody who is just in support of our mission. Yellow is for caregivers. So we have, those will, and blue is for people that actually have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or any dementia. And so we will still be having those promise garden ceremonies. There will be promise gardens set up throughout the state that people can drive by and see. And we ask people really to just maintain a very safe distance to do that. So not to get out of your cars, but if you really want to see a promise garden, because it is such an integral part of the walk ceremony, we will have those set up throughout the state and people can drive by and still see those on their walk day.
That's great that you still gave people that experience of when we normally would typically walk, how that would be. So I'm glad you guys were able to do something for the people. Let's talk about your work in advocacy. Obviously, I know there's a lot of good work being done.
Absolutely. Public policy and advocacy is something that it's integral to our mission. So we, have lots and lots of volunteers that help us to really talk with legislators about, the issues that people with dementia are facing and how we can best help support them through legislation and policy. And part of that has to do with education. So one of the pieces of legislation that was passed last year in Connecticut was to provide education for all of our licensed healthcare professionals on dementia.
Great.
So things like that can help to change systems is what we're looking at. We have, many published best practices, and the association just also published more best practices specifically for COVID-19 and people with dementia and keeping people safe. So safety, security is our number one priority. And we know that this isolation and this period is extremely stressful and confusing for people with dementia, and it's also incredibly stressful for caregivers. So we want to be here and make sure that we're doing everything we can to help that. And whether that is through care and support services, through education, or through public policy, we are, moving the needle in those directions and talking with our governors, talking with our legislators, encouraging those best practices, encouraging widespread testing, and really in support of that, especially in our long-term care facilities, making sure that they have the education and the funding for the personal protective equipment that they need to keep our people with dementia safe and to keep themselves safe too.
Well, I know that this is an exciting time for Alzheimer's research. Can you share a little bit about what's happening in that area?
Absolutely. So this is an incredibly exciting time in research. And in fact, we just held our Alzheimer's Association International Research Conference, which is the largest convening globally, so all around the world, of Alzheimer's and dementia researchers, where they all come together and can share, the newest, greatest, most cutting edge information on Alzheimer's and dementia. And we were able this year to hold that virtually. So usually there are about 10,000 participants at this conference, 30,000 people this year that participated in that event. So it's really amazing. And some of the things that we're learning are things that are, that are a little bit surprising. So we're finding that there's a correlation between people getting flu vaccines and pneumonia vaccines and dementia. And in fact, that if you get a flu vaccine and pneumonia vaccine, even one, you are less likely to develop dementia in your lifetime. Really? So, and people that have gotten, annual flu vaccines are very much less likely to develop dementia. So why is that? We're not sure yet. But it could be that those people are, that do get their regular vaccines are taking better care of themselves in general. Mm-hmm. And we know that we are learning, again, that lifestyle is a very important part of protecting our brain. So things like exercise, things like an anti-inflammatory diet, making sure our blood pressure stays low, keeping blood sugars in check, maintaining social connection, which is super important for our brains, super important for our emotional health, and is actually really hard to do at this time. So keeping those social connections going, and anything we can do that for ourselves and our families is very important to our brains as well. And then also cognitive stimulation, so learning something new, you know, playing games, doing puzzles, learning a new hobby or a new skill, anything that keeps our brain active is also really important. So we're also getting closer to identifying blood tests that are helping to diagnose Alzheimer's. So right now, the only way that we can actually diagnose Alzheimer's is through either a very expensive PET scan or through a very invasive lumbar spine puncture. And those things are, they're expensive, they're invasive, and they're not always available to people, especially people that live in rural communities. So if we can get a test that is more accessible for people and less invasive, something like a blood test that measures biomarkers that will help us to get an earlier, accurate diagnosis, then that is incredibly important in moving forward our research and our treatments that might be coming up for all kinds of dementia. So really exciting stuff that's happening.
Yeah, and I know personally how important early detection is. I lost my grandmother 20 years ago to Alzheimer's, and it's something where knowing that there's support groups like what you guys do for everybody is very important, and it's important that people know that they can get involved as well. And I know if people want to donate, volunteer, or get support for their loved one, what's the best way to get in contact with Connecticut Alzheimer's Association?
Yeah, so right on our website, there are definitely places to do that. Something that everyone can do and something that is so critically important to our mission is the walks. So everyone can start a walk team. Everyone can, take a stroll out in their neighborhood. So that's what we're really asking people to do. And those walks are what fund that research. Those walks are what fund our care and support services, our support groups, our education. And we do, in addition to all the care and support, we also are providing lots of education, both for people in the community and for professionals. So, join us for one of our education sessions to learn more. Those also are listed on our website. So go to, www.alz.org/CT. You can call our helpline at 800-272-3900. So that's 800-272-3900. And again, anybody on that answers that call can help you with a question about anything, and they can further connect you with whoever might be best to answer your questions.
Robin Sharp is the Executive Director of the Connecticut Alzheimer's Association. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Chris, and thanks for sharing about your grandmother. I think, this disease affects everyone, and I think we all know someone, whether we have someone in our family, a friend's family, a coworker that's been impacted by this. So thanks for sharing your story with us too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.